Hello, welcome to the Analytics for Anyone channel. I'm your host, Charles Sutton, and today we'll be learning how to use Power BI to load a dataset, transform the data using Power Query, and create some simple visuals. So let's not waste any time talking, and let's get right into learning. So first, we're going to download some a California environmental dataset. And so the first thing you're going to do, based on the instructions, is you'll visit this oehaa.ca.gov. It's the California Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment. From there, we're going to go ahead and download the Excel file that we'll be using for today's exercise. Here you can see the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet in PDF with a data dictionary. If you just click on this Cal Enviro Screen 4.0 Excel and Data Dictionary, you'll see it starts downloading here in the bottom left hand of the screen. Click on that button and it'll open up the two files that you need. For today's exercise, we'll be just using this Cal Enviro Screen 40 Results Data Dictionary. You're going to want to take that file, Control C or right click and copy it, and then choose a file folder on your computer that you want to save it in. I normally save mine in datasets. I have an environmental dataset, and you can see here I saved that dataset for today's exercise. So save that locally on your computer because we're going to use that for the next steps as we start working with Power BI. And so the next steps are working with Power BI. On my computer, I already have Power BI, so I can go ahead and type it in and click it and open it up. Now, if you don't have Power BI, you can always go to the Power BI website, powerbi.microsoft.com, and download. So I would, as that opens up, open that up here, click that, go to your downloads, and then you'll be able to download Power BI from this website. So if you need to take a moment to download Power BI before you get started, go ahead, go to the website, get that downloaded, pause this video, and when you have Power BI uploaded to your computer, then come back and pick up the video at the next steps. So you can see here I have Power BI opened in the background. So before we can create any simple visuals, the first thing we'll need to do is get some data. So if you press the Get Data button on the home screen here, go to Excel Workbook, and choose the file location where you save that file. As you can see, I've saved this in my personal documents under Datasets, Environmental, and I called it the CES4 CSV files. Wherever you put that. What's most important is you're going to want to click on that Cal Enviro screen, Dataset, and press Open. Now a navigator window will pop up, and when the navigator window pops up, you're going to want to select this CES 4.0 final results. A nice thing about Power BI is before you load any data, you can at least get a preview of all of the columns and information that are in that data set. So now you have two options. You can load or transform the data. As I said, for this exercise, we want to be using Power Query Editor to transform data before we load it. So for this exercise, go ahead and press the Transform Data button. Now, as the data begins to load into Power Query Editor, we're going to want to take the data and transform it a little bit so it's in a more a better usable state for when we start building visuals in Power BI. So this first row here, these should actually be headers for the data set. So what you want to do is go up to the home you want to go up to the home tab ribbon and choose the use first rows as headers. And what that will do is that will promote that first row to the headers of the data file. And you can see some of the applied steps that are going on here. In a later video, we will cover exactly a little bit more about Power Query and what the applied steps are. Today, it's really about just getting the beginning person started with Power BI, loading some data, transforming it, and then building some visuals from it. Another thing I'll need you to do is choose the California County column. And what we need to do with that is we need to just filter that down to the San Diego region. It's a practice exercise for anyone watching this video to be able to, filter a data set down to a smaller set of data. But also, I live in San Diego, and so I was most interested in using this San Diego data to help me understand, some environmental insights about the region that I live in. So part practice, part um, being inquisitive. But what we'll want to do is we'll want to filter this California County column on San Diego. So you're going to right click, you're going to click the drop down arrow here, and then you're going to use the search bar to find San Diego. I'm going to unclick select all search results. You'll just select San Diego, and then you'll press OK. Now, when you work with a data set, sometimes the numbers need to be aggregated, like a salary or a balance or revenue. Total population is another great example. But in this case, a census tract is actually a small, relatively permanent statistical subdivision that should not be aggregated. It's part of a county, and we're actually going to want to use that as an ID instead of aggregated value. So what I want you to do is convert this census tract data type from a number to a text. And so you'll select the census tract data. You'll select the numbers on the left of the column name, and then what you want to do is choose text from this option. And you'll notice now that this column is converted from a numerical value to a text value. Okay, you've transformed the data into a state that we'll need for today's exercise. So on the home ribbon, you can go to close and apply. And what that will do is it'll start loading the data. By the time the data loads, there should be 627 rows loaded. There will be some errors. We're not going to cover errors today. They won't negatively impact this exercise. So let's just go ahead and close that. And now you can see you have data loaded. If you will go over to the data pane here in the right, you'll see there are fields available here if you just expand this column. Now in the visualizations pane, you'll want to press the table button. So go ahead and press that. And then take the bottom right handle and expand this. And what that's going to do is going to take up the entire area of the canvas, so you can add columns in and see if they're being added and not truncate any of the data. Now we want to add some data to this table. So what you want to do is go to the data pane and use the search bar. You're going to look for census tract. So you can go ahead and type that in. And then what you're going to want to do is drag census tract down into the columns area of the visualizations pane. Now let's add a few other columns of data to that table. We're going to want to add a location, an environmental percentile ranking, and then an environmental score. So for the first one we're looking for is approximate location. And drag that down into the census tract into the columns. You're also going to want to drag into the percentile, so search for CES 4.0 percentile. In the data pane, you can actually drag these over in case you can't see all of the values. But you want to drag in the CES 4.0 percentile, drop that right under approximate location, and then the CES 4.0 score. You can just take that, drag that over. Now that's all that needs to be done for today's exercise for the table. So what we're going to do is we're going to rename this page so it's easier to identify. Later when you have a lot of tabs, you want to rename your pages so they're easy to find. So you can rename this tab by right-clicking over page 1, rename page, and we're going to name it Census Tract Bar Chart. Press enter, and then that renames the page. All right, now we want to create another chart because, Power BI, a table is great, but, people really come to Power BI for visualizations and several visualizations to build out what's known as a dashboard view. And so that's usually different visuals that you can put together to tell a holistic data story about what's happening with the data that you have loaded into the report. So let's go ahead and create a bar chart. We're going to want to add a new page by selecting the plus button at the bottom left corner. Now let's select a clustered bar chart. So that's this here in the visualizations pane. Just like the table matrix, we want to drag that out to fill out the entire area of the report canvas. Now we want to add some columns of data. Again, we're going to add the census tract. So let's go ahead and go use the search bar in the data pane. You can see you can drag that over. You want to drag that to the y-axis. Now you're going to want to add some numerical data to get the bar charts to populate. So let's drag the CES score onto the x-axis. So go ahead and search for the CES 4.0 score. Again, if you just search for that in the data pane, find CES 4.0 score, and drag that into the x-axis. Now that's just a simple bar chart. Again, this is to set people up. We want to kind of give building blocks, and so this is that first tutorial that just gets you started on finding data, loading data, transforming data, and creating some simple visuals. So we'll finish this project up by renaming the page. Again, you want to rename pages so they're easier to find within your Power BI workbooks. It can be common that you get multiple pages, so you want to be able to make your pages easy to find. Right-click, rename the page. We're going to rename this page Census Tract Bar Chart. And I realized that I actually renamed my last page incorrectly. So nice thing is I can go on there and rename it. And I really wanted to name this Census Tract Table. And that way I can differentiate between the data table and the Census Tract Bar Chart. All right, that finishes up our exercise for today. You are going to want to save this file so you have it for reference for later future videos. So go ahead and File, Save As. I'm going to save it as CES Practice Desktop file. As you can see, I've already saved this before, but in your case, you would just type in CES Practice Desktop file and then press Save. And you're going to want to save that in a local folder. Me, I like to kind of create my folder hierarchies that are easy to follow. So again, I just save this in my datasets environmental CES4 CSV files. All right, so that's the end of today's exercise. I hope you enjoyed Analytics for Anyone's first tutorial. Our team will be creating more tutorials so that you can build on your skills that you just learned. We hope you enjoy our new content, and as we continue to add more all the time. Come back and visit our channel whenever you're looking to increase your analytics knowledge. Thank you, and have a great day.